みのミュージックへどうもみのです。Today we have a special guest, Easy Life. It's great to have you.
Thank you so much for having us, man.
Is this your first time coming to Japan?
Yeah, it's our first time.
All of you?
Yeah.
We were literally extremely excited getting on the plane to Japan.
Did you guys do any sightseeing?
We've been
so busy.
We've seen some sights.
We've seen a lot of things.
We've all the like nice touristy spots there. We've been there.
We arrived in the airport and a fan gave us like a bucket list.
Yeah.
Of like, you need to go to these spots, and we did all of them.
Yeah, well, I heard that you guys went to the Nintendo store and
went to Ichiran, is it called?
Went to an Ichiran.
Ichiran.
Just done Sushiro.
Yeah, just to experience like what it is to do here because it's really cool.
Which is better, sushi or fish and chips?
Sushi.
Although fish and chips is very good.
Yeah, right.
It's very good.
Alright, so do you have any favorite Japanese artists? And if you don't have any in particular, just name a favorite anime.
I listen a lot to a guy called Takuya Kuroda. I think he lives in New York.
Yeah.
But he's like an incredible trumpet player, jazz player.
What about my man? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Sakamoto.
Shintaro.
Sakamoto.
Psychedelic artist, right?
Yeah, he's sick.
He's really good.
Really sick.
Did you guys heard the latest album that he just released?
I
think
I don't think so.
Released it
I love
a month ago or
I love just putting him on. It's like the best music to just to be alive to go about your day.
About anime, you guys into anime?
Anime?
Yeah.
It's from Japan.
No, it's in the cartoons, right? Not
I mean, cartoons are worldwide, but
I thought that's what it is.
I mean, I love like all the Studio Ghibli films.
Yes.
Amazing.
We're not very educated on anime at all, really. Like as far as people go. I bet, you know.
I'm like 2 seasons into Attack on Titan.
Yeah.
Is Naruto? You know that one?
Yeah.
I watched that. I've watched many episodes of that.
You did?
Yeah, we wrote a song about that show.
Oh, really?
Yeah, it's called Ultimate Jutsu.
Can someone play it on their phone?
Pretty good.
Yeah.
It's about like becoming a ninja and like dealing with your stuff. It's good.
Alright, so let's dive into some musical aspects. So you guys have 2 horn players, right?
Yeah.
I consider that as a quite unique trait. I mean, if you have a massive band like Parliament or Wind in the Fire, then it's understandable. But there's only 5 guys and 2 horn players. So are they your primary instrument or?
I first learned to play like wind instruments.
Yeah.
That was my primary. And it was only when I was like a teenager that I got into playing bass guitar and everything else. So I've grown up with like classical music and jazz and band, like proper like old big band music and orchestral stuff. I think it comes across maybe in the way that we write music and decide to arrange stuff when we play live, because we want to fit as much in as we can.
Yeah, I can totally feel the hint of big band or jazz influence in your like horn arrangements, because it's so intricate.
Yeah. And
the harmonies and stuff. Are you guys all like multi-instrumentalists?
We all play like a couple of instruments, say a couple, like 3 or 4, but not necessarily to the best, but we all can play.
Started off on different instruments to what we play.
Interesting.
I started off on a guitar,
and I started off on drums.
And now we don't.
Everyone can play drums except me.
In fact, I think the drums is.
And everyone can play guitar except you.
Instrument, right?
Huh?
Would you say that?
Yeah.
The drums are like everyone's best instrument except
Really?
Yeah.
That's interesting.
I don't know.
A lot of good musicians start off as a drummer, I think. I mean, Frank Zappa, Steven Tyler, those guys.
That's how you lock the rhythm, and then you can get the musical knowledge, but you've got that, you're locked in.
But how did you guys decide to like, hey, let's just switch our instruments? How did that happen?
When I was about, I don't know, I reckon about 15, I could play the drums at this point, but I was on guitar, but I was always wanted to play the drums in the bands. So I just started a band with Lewis actually, and that's when I first got to play the drums properly in a band.
And I learned the bass just to be in a band. People needed bass players.
Right.
Then that fed into guitar.
I think when we first started Easy Life and play live, we'd swap instruments like all the time. We still do that, but now it's more like a necessary thing that we have to do. But at the start it was more like a flex. We'd be like, well, I can play this and this and this, and we all used to like play loads of different stuff. We've settled down a little bit now, but yeah, we still.
In the early days, it was mental.
Yeah, it's really good though, because if there's a part that needs playing, chances are someone will be able to play it on something. So it's pretty useful.
So basically, you guys are like a collective of Paul McCartneys.
I'll take that. Yeah.
Your love for hip hop and R&B is obvious. The use of Aretha Franklin's "Daydreaming," I love the sample. But at the same time, I think your music is really melodic. And of course, R&B and hip hop can be melodic, but I almost like feel. I mean, I can feel the influence of the Beatles or the Beach Boys. Where did those melodic elements come from?
Yeah, I listen to a lot of pop music, like old pop music.
Yeah, old pop.
Like lots of ABBA and lots of Bee Gees.
Yeah.
Growing up, used to love all that kind of thing. I'm not actually that big a fan of the Beatles personally, although like obviously they are super important.
Yeah.
I just never actually listened to them. I'm yet to listen to them. I need to sit down and listen to them at some point. But yeah, apparently they're really good.
Apparently
I should probably do that. I should do that. But
some little Liverpool like coming up.
yeah, but I don't know. I think my love of melody just comes from all those classic, old like disco type, cheesy pop music.
Yeah.
I don't know really.
So do you try to like subtract the cheesiness from those music?
I think all cheesiness should be left in. 'Cause it's
Yeah.
entirely up to the listener to pick out if it's cheesy. Or
Yeah.
Some of the cheesiest music is like super popular.
The best.
Right.
Some of the best music.
Yeah.
I like it.
I also think like it's only cheesy if it's put across in a disingenuous way. Like if you believe in what you're doing, then it already feels, authentic and a lot less not cheesy. You know, when you hear like a pop song and you know it's just like trash. And the people don't believe in it, that's cheesy. But if you hear a great pop song, then it's just great.
Yeah, good thing it's good. When you guys write songs, does it usually come from your instruments, or do you like do the composition and the arrangement on like a laptop? Which way do you guys prefer?
Do it all inside a laptop. Until very recently, didn't really use that many real instruments. All the drums are always programmed with MIDI.
That's crazy though, because you guys have 4 drummers.
Yeah, I mean, to be honest, it's just when we started, it was more that
it was
the
quick.
practicality, like setting up like
It's hard to record drums.
mics on
Right.
drum kit.
It's
Like,
pricey.
Because a lot of the stuff is
exactly. We didn't have any money at the beginning, so we just learned to program drums.
a lot of
I had a laptop.
A lot of our stuff is self-produced by Murray, so it's like if he's just got an idea and he's in London, he can just make it and do it and it's done. But he spends a lot of time on drum sounds. He doesn't.
Yeah, I think it separated us from a lot of other bands in the UK at the beginning. I mean now lots of people are sampling and programming drums, but when we first started, there wasn't many projects that sounded the way we did, because most bands traditionally would start with recording the drums and the bass, and it would all kind of build up from there, but we would always use samples. I guess that was like the hip-hop influence.
Yeah.
In recent times though, Murray himself's been getting into like using live piano again, like an actual upright, and, like just reamping things and sending things through tube amps and all that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
It's like
That's just maturing, and
Yeah,
like
yeah.
now
Makes
we've
it-
got access to that.
it
You know,
makes
it's
it
just
more
like
interesting now.
having the money to be able to buy those, like the gear, because at the beginning it's like just have a 2-channel interface and a laptop, and then you just make it work. But yeah, now I have a piano and some microphones, and it's great.
Yeah, I love the mixture of organic elements elements and the like samples and digital stuff.
Thank you, man.
But so when I'm listening to your songs and your chord progression, it almost sounds like somebody sat on the piano and wrote it. You know, it's quite intricate. But you said you mostly do the writing and arrangement on.
Yeah, I think if like by the computer I'd still have a MIDI keyboard.
Yeah.
And I'd still sort of feel it out. And chords are like everything for us.
Yeah.
Chords are like the most important thing for our music. So spend most of our time trying to find nice chords. And then when I find one, I just use it for forever. Like, right, that's an easy life chord now. This is great.
Who's your main inspiration when it comes to songwriting? I mean,
I have
it's
no
a
idea.
huge question. But
I have no idea. I mean, chords, like Stevie Wonder, I always think his chords are just crazy.
Yeah.
Like, he chooses really good chords. But sometimes I hear even just simple, if there's like 4 chords, which is most songs, if you do like a nice, it's like you can make a simple chord sound good with the right inversion. And the good thing about MIDI is obviously, if you can't play the inversion very well, you can just experiment by dragging the notes down, and then you're like, oh, that sounds good.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah,
So like,
yeah.
I think my reliance on the computer is because I'm not very accomplished as a player. So I'm like, I know what I want to hear, but I can't play it because I'm not very good. So you put it in on MIDI, and then it's like, oh, dragging it and getting it till it sounds good.
No excuse for boring chords anymore.
Yeah. Yeah.
So your upcoming album, Maybe in Another Life, is coming out on October. Love the cover, like the Wes Anderson-ness.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yes.
I love it.
I love it.
Thank you, bro.
Yeah, there's only 3 songs that has been released at this point. Compared to your previous works, are there any changes in style?
I think there's like I think the spectrum might have gotten a little bit wider in terms of the sounds and the attitude of this next album, but it's all still very much like quintessential Easy Life. We've gone back to the beginning, like the original sound, like the Creature Habits EP.
Yeah.
Like we're drawing from all of that, but also we're going for this like classic. We want it to be. We've essentially listened to a lot of cheesy music, and been like, this isn't cheesy, this is amazing, and we want to replicate some of these massive sounds that we might not have toyed with before.
It's a lot more sort of bandy, you know. We just spoke for a while about how we tried to not sound like a band for a long time. I think like this album sounds a lot more, like a band in a room, although it's not, but it sounds like that. We were kind of leaning into those big Elton John kind of ballads with the chords and the drums and everything sort of tube and distorted and stuff. So it has like a real classic aesthetic to it, some strings and things like that, which we haven't really used before. But I still think, I don't know, it's funny, isn't it? Because artists always think their new project sounds totally different, and I've reinvented myself, it sounds crazy, you know, but it probably just sounds much the same as most of our music. But for us, it feels like a little bit of a departure from the last album. Yeah.
Oh, that's cool to hear. So you guys retain the character, but it also has a wider range of.
It's a lot more accomplished.
Yeah, I think so. I'm like super proud of it. There's some really good moments on there, and I just really love all the songs, and I think that was important for us going into this second album. Like, we've released so much music up until this point, and with the pressure of having to write loads of music and put out loads of music kind of got to us after a while, and I think the second album was a response to that. It was like, we're just gonna do this like purely for fun. The label I hadn't really told anyone I was working on the second album until it was pretty much done. So because of that, I was very much in our comfort zone and just enjoying the whole process, and I think you can hear the enjoyment throughout the album. So I'm super proud of it.
The first album, you have a lifelong of time to write those songs.
Yeah.
But on the second album, you are a busy man working in music industry, doing shows, doing interviews like this, and at the same time, you have to write songs. How did that go?
I think we were kind of blessed because we were still experiencing lockdown, and we still kind of are, or like the after effects of COVID. So I wrote a lot of this album when we weren't that busy. Kind of struggling with the idea of writing a third album now because we are actually quite busy now. Like touring a lot. I think I'm always writing songs though. I seem to find time. It's kind of like a hobby, so
It's a natural thing for you.
Yeah,
It's kind of why you get into music. It's like a hobby to begin with, so that's why you do it. You always dream of being able to, come to Japan and play shows, but definitely it is a hobby at heart.
yeah.
There's also like this weird connection between being busy and being inspired. Like if you have a load of time on your hands but nothing to do, it's very uninspiring. But when you're out in these crazy places and experiencing all these new things, getting ideas all the time, but you just don't have the time to like actually do anything with them.
Yeah, it's very true. Like, I feel super inspired just traveling around and meeting new people and stuff. So yeah, I'm never worried about finding time to write music. I think it just 5 minutes here, an hour there, whatever. Like we'll keep doing it.
No, it's really cool to hear that you guys are relaxed towards this situation. I mean, some people really get like overwhelmed, I guess. So.
I don't know. It is. Don't get me wrong. We're chilled now. We're like, we've had a big night out. We're chilling. But I find this whole thing very overwhelming. Don't get me wrong. But the writing of the music is like very sacred to me and something that I find lots of enjoyment in. So that part doesn't scare me.
How was the show in Japan? We're notorious for being quiet.
You were loud.
I mean, it was good.
It
wasn't
Which
bad.
one?
In Club Quattro.
Yeah, they were loud and crazy.
They were loud?
Yeah, it was crazy, bro.
No.
Because
good.
we had heard from some friends that it might be like really civilized and quiet, like you said, but no.
People are paying attention though.
Yeah.
We got told beforehand, people were told they weren't allowed to sing. Because you're not allowed to sing because of COVID right now. But
I
they
guess
were loud.
I guess younger generation just ignores those.
Yeah. It's hard to control them because they're not. It's just different. It's like in the UK, the younger generation are obviously way more like free-willing than say the older generation. So I feel like it is a similar vibe. It's like, well, I want to sing this song, so I'm going to sing back to them or whatever. I feel like it's a similar sort of thing. It was like a lot of our older generation wouldn't have went to the first show back in the UK when lockdown was over, whereas all the young people were like there straight out, like they were everywhere. You didn't really see the older generation for a little while.
It was a mad gig though.
The Japanese crowd was
like
lovely.
it was crazy. We had people like crowd surfing and getting like
Really?
kicked out and like mosh pits and all sorts. It was wild. It was really crazy, and it's a great venue. All the lights, like the old school lighting in there. Yeah, it was amazing.
And then the festival was just like crazy because there's so many people there.
Such a big festival.
We couldn't believe it. I think everyone was waiting to see the band after us. They're called like
TXT.
Yeah, TXT. I don't know, but they're huge apparently. Yeah, they had to watch us for a while.
You're so humble.
There was like 20,000 of them. There was loads of them, and like we wouldn't do that really in England. Like maybe once or twice play to a crowd that day, but in an enclosed space. At festivals we do that in England, but it was crazy. We were watching it back, like, because it was all filmed, and it was all filmed so beautifully as well. But we watched it back in the dressing room, like,
you guys got it down with camera footage. Yeah, we've watched it twice. The camera footage, the angles, everything is just
perfect.
Everyone's really good at doing what they do.
Literally, everyone has just decided to do something and mastered it, and they're like, right, if this is my thing, I'm gonna just smash it. Like, Japan is so good for that. Everything's perfect out here.
Well, I guess the production team was really good.
Yeah. Really, really good.
We're applying how that production team is to the whole of Japan.
Yeah.
But that's the only people we met really. People we were working with.
Yeah, I guess those guys are top-notch professionals.
Yeah.
So don't apply for every Japanese. Yeah.
We appreciate when we're working with people and they're like good at their job because it makes our lives easy.
Yeah, it's a pleasure.
So
to
we
watch
appreciate people.
This is the last question. Do you have any message for your fans in Japan?
Sam's been learning Japanese.
Not really.
Literally.
So it's your time to shine.
He's really good and he's nervous and hungover.
Put me on the spot.
There's no point learning another language you're not going to speak
Literally.
it, bro.
He
Literally learned for a week.
Yeah.
he's really good. So message to the Japanese fans, Sam.
Watashi wa Suka yoi desu.
Did that make sense? You got no idea.
取れました。2日酔いです。You're hangover.
Yeah.
Oh. I didn't get it, but he did. Okay.
Yeah.
Say it again, bro.
Sukareta, we love you. Aishitimasu.
We can't wait to come back.
Yeah,
I'm really
it's been
excited.
amazing.
Oh, we've been talking about moving out here.
Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Like PewDiePie.
I've been so many things have gone through my head these last 5 days. I've been like, well, this is really good.
Album 3 is going to be written in Japan.
That'd be really cool. I'll be looking forward for that.
Yeah.
What about camera angles?
Yeah.
Just got to find someone to, pay us to come out here free.
Yeah. Honestly though, Japan is amazing. We're so stoked to come here. It's been brilliant.
We were talking on the way here that we're sad to leave. We're going to be sad to leave tomorrow, but we'll be fine.
Yeah, we'll be back
will
as
be.
soon as possible.
We're so hungover.
We'll be waiting.
We're all low.
Well, it was a pleasure to have you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, man. There you go.
Let's do it.
Little fist bump.
Thank you.
Thanks, man.
イージーライフの皆さんでした。ありがとうございます。ミノミュージックでした。それでは。